Welcome back, everybody, to a brand new episode of Talkin Schmoedown. I am your host, Josh, the Merc Raynor, here for episode 64 of Talkin Schmoedown. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Just like every week, we're going to talk some Schmoedown. And this was a damn good week. We had Friday Night Titans episode number 3 come out. We had The Movement versus the Harris brothers, with Samm Levine finally coming back after 4 years to take on the Barbarian in a number 1 contender match. Great stuff here, man. You know, we have a new team being formed, an old team reforming, the return of a megastar. Like, it's insane. So much good stuff happened on this episode. And I am excited to dive into it. I hope you are all too. So let's get ready to talk Schmoedown. All right. So this episode starts off. We got Frank Janisch. Okay. You know, occasionally we see him, outside of the rundown, doing interviews and whatnot for the Schmoedown, and he's looking for the Barbarian and for Gucci to do an interview. And he finds Gucci. He finds Barbarian, and they're trying to sell a sock to some random guy. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? It's like, I know Gucci is kind of a strange guy. He does a lot of weird stuff. You know that. If you've ever kind of watched the Schmoedown with anything that he's done, it's always interesting. I'll say that much. And the problem though that I had is that this was meant as the cold open to the show, and it felt weird and it felt random. And I know that that's kind of what you get when it comes to Gucci, but like, I don't know, compared to the last couple of weeks, this one just didn't quite hit for me. You know, the interview style for the cold open just didn't quite do it for me. Gucci's hit or miss when it comes to me. I know that a lot of people just, think he's complete gold. Sure. Okay. Sometimes he is, but for me, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan of this cold open. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. As always, head on to Twitter at MovieBlogMerc, or if you're watching live, be sure to comment. I'll see that. I'll address it. We'll talk about it right here. Then we had Ken and Mark Ellis on the desk. I love Ken, but I found it weird that he also had to do the ring announcing as well. Because Christian was there. I don't know what was happening off stage, but we know he was there because he announced the winner at the end. But it was weird that he did it from the desk. Like, that's not something that they've done at all over the past 3 episodes of stuff that they've done. The opening pay-per-view and then the 2 episodes of Friday Night Titans. It's always been either Christian or Ken out by the curtain doing an actual announcing job. So it was weird to kind of see it happen from the desk. But you do what you got to do. I'm assuming Christian couldn't do it, or something was happening off screen that we don't know about. And it's just, like I said, it was a little odd, a little strange to see. But as they're talking about the main event, because at this point we don't know what's happening, we don't know what the opening match is going to be, and I love that. That's one of the things I absolutely love about Friday Night Titans, is that we don't know what's going to happen. We typically throughout these 3 episodes, we've known what the main event at least is, but sometimes we don't know what that opening match is going to be, what that undercard is going to be, until we get there. And I love that. I love the mystery of that. Last year, I liked having that, month worth of schedule because of the faction stuff. And I was involved in a fantasy draft and stuff like that. So that was nice. But, when you talk about Christian wants this to be more like a show, like wrestling and things like that, they don't tell you the full card, the week before or anything like that. Maybe a few days before you might get a couple of matches that you'll learn about. But most of the time you'll get in there and you'll be surprised, just like everybody else. And so that's what I love about it. It's just that you never know what's going to happen. It makes it way more interesting. And so, like I said, as Ken and Ellis are talking about the main event, out come the fan favorites. We've got Adam Witt, we've got JTE, and we've got THE the Paul Preston. By the way, I absolutely love that gimmick for Paul Preston. He's such a phenomenal player, and he can pull this off so well. And I think the two of them are actually going to be a damn good team together, as we saw here. And they are now known as The Movement, which interesting name. Sure, okay, I dig it. I probably wouldn't have went with it, but that's cool. They're rolling with what they want. And they challenged the Harris brothers. This was out of left field for me. I was not expecting the Harris brothers. We knew that Lon was not coming back to Swag, so therefore he was no longer teaming with Paul Oyama. So we knew that. Honestly, I just assumed he was just going to be a rogue singles player, just kind of popping in and out, doing his delinquent thing. Not for a second did I think I'd see his brother come back. His brother he didn't play at all last year, I believe. I think the last time he played was 2020. And they haven't they haven't played as a team since I think 2019, since before the digital era. And so it was a big shocker. And so I thought that was a great surprise. I'm glad that they didn't announce it prior to the episode or anything like that. I'm so happy. And I'm also really happy that nobody who got to see it, like none of the patrons who got to see it early, spoiled it, because that could happen. Sometimes people let things slip, whether it be on purpose or not. It happens. But thankfully, at least for me, I had no idea that was coming. So that was a great surprise for me to see the Harris brothers come out. And Lon is no longer the delinquent. He has no memory of his past gimmicks, which I thought was fascinating. Because Lon has now kind of become for wrestling fans out there, you'll understand this reference. For the rest of you may not, but he's kind of like the Mick Foley of the Schmoedown. And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, Mick Foley was a wrestler in WWE, WWF before it was that. And he had multiple gimmicks. He was Cactus Jack. He was Mankind. He was Dude Love. And then he eventually just kind of was himself. He was just Mick Foley for kind of like the rest of his time after all of that. And Lon has kind of become that. He's had these multiple gimmicks, very different gimmicks that are like separate from one another. And what I kind of want to see is I want to see sometime just have these personalities collide. And maybe in like some weird backstage scene where it's like all of a sudden all three of them are there and they're talking to one another. And it's like, wait a minute, they weren't the same guy. I think that would be hilarious. It would really be reminiscent of that Mick Foley time in the WWE/WWF. I'm not honestly sure what era that specifically happened in, because it happened with him. But I think that would be fascinating. I'm sure that Christian has thought of this. But if not, I really hope that it's something that happens down the line. It would just be great for us wrestling fans to see that, to get that reference, to have some fun with it. He wants this to be like 80% sports entertainment, 20% sport, which I get. He really wants to build on the show, and that's awesome. I like the idea of that. And so this is the kind of stuff that you could do that with. You could really pump the entertainment side a bit more with it. And I don't know. I think it would be fun. And Paul Preston, that's the last thing before I get into the match. Paul Preston is one of my favorite underrated Schmoedown competitors. Everybody kind of doubt him. He hasn't had the best run. I don't think he's won a match in teams before this. I think he was like 0-6 or 0-7, something like that. Before this, I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to double check what his singles ranking was, but his stats do not show how great of a player he is. And there's lots of players out there like that. Like, look at Janine. Janine's stats make her look like she's just a mid-level player, but she's a lot better than that. And so is Paul Preston. I love Adam Witt, but I don't think he was made for gameplay. You know what I mean? He's great as the manager here. So I'm really excited that he's doing the fan favorites, and having Paul on his team, I think, is really going to help with all of that. So we had a great first round here in their match. Real solid, 18-17. So out of a possible 40 points between the two, not including the bonus, 35 were scored. So that's damn good. You know what I mean? For these players to do this well, I thought this was fantastic. Nobody got the bonus, unfortunately, but they all missed one or two questions. But they all did fantastic. So I think another thing is, I talked about how Paul Preston is an underrated player. So is JTE. Now, most of the time, I'm not a big fan of JTE. And it's mainly character-wise. Like, I'm not a fan. But that's okay, because, there is somebody for everybody. But him in this new gimmick with Adam Witt, with Paul Preston, I know it works. It really, really works for me. And I'm digging what I'm seeing. And he's a fantastic player. Anybody who says otherwise, like, I used to doubt him back in the day. And he has shown up. He has been constantly showing up. He one of the greatest teams of all time, though. I am somebody who is all Shazam all day. Come at me, internet. Just saying, Shazam all the way. But the Patriots you can't deny how good they were, and a lot of that had to do with JTE. So the two of them teaming up, I think, it's gonna be something special, as we saw here in this match. Then we got into round 2, and we finally got a wild card again. Like, I don't think we saw a wild card since that first match with the Wildberries. And I've been rooting for wild cards ever since. So I'm so glad that we finally got another wild card. Everybody seems afraid of them. Anytime they land on it, they spin away. Well, this time they had to take it, because they got it on their second, and they got Alien Invasion, which I gotta say, I am thrilled that both times that it's been spun, that we've gotten the random category. Like, spinner's choice and opponent's choice, that's cool, whatever, that can make for some interesting stuff. But I want to know what's underneath. I want to know what that random category is. I just really do. And so the fact that we've gotten it twice now, it's fantastic. And this time it was Alien Invasion, and man, I smoked that category. This was made for me. I loved it so much. It was I don't know, because that Die Hard in a blank one was really fun. It was inventive, but this Alien Invasion one it just hit me in a spot where these are the movies I love. And so I was really happy to see it. We almost had the wild card a second time, but the movement was like, no. And I'll be honest with you. At this stage, I think that was the right move, because now it's a 50-50 shot between spinners and opponents. And honestly, you don't want to risk that. Like, landing on it the first time, you got a 33% chance of getting opponents. But then the other 2/3, I think, is doable. If you're a good enough player, I think you could handle whatever the category winds up being. You know what I mean? I don't think it's gonna, like I said, unless you're kind of in general a weak player, that may be a problem for you. But I think for the most part, these new categories, at least to start, aren't going to be completely terrible or anything like that. I don't think they're there to screw over people, just to make something a little bit more interesting and a bit more broad too, because you really got to be like, okay, well, there's a lot of alien invasion movies out there, so you got to really think about, well, what could be in this category before you wind up going for it. And then the movement winds up having to go multiple choice a couple of times, and this swings the lead back, because at the end of round 1, it was the movement taking the lead 18-17. And throughout that whole round, it had been the Harris brothers. So we had a swing happen there. Then we got another swing here, and it became the Harris brothers with the lead 27-26. So this match got kind of wild. It was back and forth quite a bit. A whole lot of point swings. And it was the Harris brothers match to lose at this point, because they finally got back in the lead. And unfortunately for them, Jonathan Harris unable to get his 3-pointer, and the movement cleared out their round 3 and won it 36-34. Paul Preston did this little peacemaker dance at the end there, which I thought that was hilarious. I even saw on Twitter, the movie Trivia Schmoedown Twitter page retweeted that out, that clip, and tagged James Gunn in it, which I thought was really fun. And the Harris brothers, they may have lost, but I think they still did an incredible job. And I think that we're going to see some good stuff from them. I can't wait to see them kind of make a way in here. I'd love to see what they could do in a tournament. Maybe they could kind of make some waves there. I don't know. And I'm also curious if Jonathan Harris is going to do any singles work this year, or if he's just going to stick to teams. I don't know. Either way, I'm interested to find out. Then we got a scene with Samm Levine, who walks in. Frank runs up to him for an interview. And Sam, he made a comment that he won all of the belts that he had on his own as a solo player, he says. Except I had a problem with this, because he didn't do that. Drew McWhinney was a key part, obviously, of him winning the team's belts. And I'm wondering, is this going to set up for something down the line between Sam and Drew McWhinney? Are we going to see a clash of these former teammates? Because if we're going to see Drew McWhinney and Samm Levine go at it, that's going to be a hell of a match right there. That's main event level match right there. And I can't wait to see that. That's going to be awesome if that's where they're going to go with this. It could have just been an off-the-cuff thing that he said. I don't know. But if it's not, if it was on purpose, if it's kind of foreshadowing something that's to come, then I am looking forward to it. And if it wasn't foreshadowing anything, hey, Christian, if you're listening, do that. Because it's set up right there, and I think it would be awesome. Sam and Drew having a program together where they, kind of like what we just recently saw with Janine and Ethan. But this, I think, could be a bit more epic, because these were the tag team champs, and you could play off the whole thing that, Sam made this decision to leave, kind of leaving Drew McWhinney out in the rain, stripping him of the title that maybe he didn't want to lose. You know what I mean? You could play it that way, and I think that would be awesome. I think that could be a fantastic storyline to kind of drive this entertainment side that I'm loving so much. So who knows? We'll see what happens. But speaking of Samm Levine, we get the main event match: Samm Levine versus the Barbarian in a number 1 contender match. The winner of this goes on at the end of this week to face off against Marisol McKee, the current champ, at the pay-per-view that's going to be happening this week. So the banter at the desk during this match, at the beginning of this match, I should say, was on point. It was so good. It was some of the best that I've seen so far, and I really hope this is the kind of stuff that we are going to continue to get from now on. So again, another fantastic match, first round here. Samm Levine coming back after 4 years, doesn't miss a beat and goes perfect in his first round, taking that lead. It was incredible to watch. Samm, I was watching, I think it was the Schmoedown Rundown, and Samm was talking about how like perfect rounds were rare for him. He typically would like miss one question, he'd beat himself up about it. It's like something's like, oh, I should have known that. And that was when it was 8 questions. And so now that it's 10, he was able to get that perfect round with the bonus. That shows that he has not missed a step. I saw that somebody during one of Christian's Q&As on the Facebook page, the MTS Facebook page, said, does this mean that ring rust is not a thing? And I'm like, no. Like Christian said the same thing. He was like, no, he said exactly what I was thinking, in that Samm may have been away from playing the game for the last 4 years, but he hasn't been away from the game for that long. He was a manager for the last 2 years with the usual suspects, managing all these factions, prepping these teams, playing mock games with these players. Like, of course he's going to be ready. It's not like, I think Christian gave the example of, it's not like, say, a Jason Inman came in, who's not been part of it, since he left. He would come in, the game is very different. It's not about the knowledge, it's about the gameplay. And Samm has been here for that time, watching the game and everything. So, like, I did not expect him to miss a beat. I expected him to be right on point. However, I didn't expect him to be this on point. So that was a nice surprise to see. Then we get into round 2, Barbarian. He does a lot of trash talk here at the beginning of his round. That is until he begins to struggle. Like a lot of heels, they're quick to the trash talk, man. You see this a lot, let's say with Chandru. Quick to the trash talk, but once it flips and it's no longer going their way, they clam right up. Be honest. If you're gonna do it, just do it, whether you're losing or not. Keep that confidence rolling. Lean into that trash talk, whether you're winning, whether you're losing, it doesn't matter, because maybe it'll throw them off their game. Hey, that's what you're doing it for, right? That's what trash talk is kind of there for. So I think lean into it. That's my opinion. That would be my advice to any heels out there. Lean into it. Don't back off just because you're losing. I know you're getting you, and I feel like if you do that, maybe you won't get in your head as much because you're not letting it bother you. You're just going to keep on rolling, right? You're going to keep on trash talking. I say let it go and make the best out of it when it comes to that. So the Barbarian winds up on Disney movies, which I thought was funny because that's a weakness when it comes to Samm Levine, Disney and animated and stuff like that. Not his strengths. And so that, I'll be honest, those are the reasons why I wasn't sure how well Samm would do, because like he always had some like clear gaps in his knowledge, you know what I mean? And so it always kind of he was able to get to an elite level, and I can't take that away from it in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the man was on a 7-run streak coming into this match. Like, barely anybody does that. So it's very, very rare. And with the win here he broke a record. He's the only one to go 8. And so, it says a lot, and he did obviously very well in teams. He had the titles in both. He was a double champ. So, but he did have a lot of gaps, and so with the elite plague that's kind of been happening over the last couple of years, like, the last 4 years, really, since he's been gone, I'm glad he's able to step it up a bit, and so hopefully he's been kind of filling those gaps in. I don't know. Obviously, I don't know his personal time, that what he does with his personal time, or how he studies or anything like that. But I'm hoping that he's been filling in those gaps that he had that were real. It was evident because even the people playing are like, oh yeah, we already know this isn't a strength of Samm Levine's, so. If it's such widely known, it's time to start filling in those gaps. And throughout this, I felt like there was a question. I felt like that Shere Khan question I'm going to talk a little bit about. I don't remember the exact, I didn't write down the exact question, but it had a lot of information. And I think it had too much information for a round 2 question. It had so much information that I don't think anybody would have needed the multiple choice. If you had taken out, I think, the word Bengal tiger, just taken that descriptor out, I think some people could have gotten it, might have been able to guess it, or might have had to gone to multiple choice. And I think that's kind of more where you want a round 2 question to lean. You don't want it to be so easy that it's just like it's a complete given. But I think there was enough other information there where you didn't need the Bengal tiger part. That's just my opinion. Because I felt like it was a lot of it. I don't know if you guys agree with that. Let me know. Hop on Twitter at @MovieBlogMerc. Let me know. Or if you're watching right now, hop in the comments. I don't think. I think it was too much. I think it was way too much information for a round 2 question. It would have been fine for a round 1, but I think it was too much. And the Barbarian winds up giving away a 1-point steal on the last question that he has. So that's not great. You're already behind, and then you don't want to give up steals here. Samm went perfect that first round, and Samm winds up going perfect again. He winds up having to go to multiple choice once, but he does go perfect. He spins John Hughes movies, takes that and kills it. He nails all of his questions, gets them all correct, doesn't miss a beat, and is running perfect at this stage in the game. And then we get into round 3, and the Barbarian, he does this thing. He's always done this, and up until this match, I've never really thought twice about it. But he consults with Elvis, the little fur thing that he's got on his shoulder, for his numbers. They whispers to all that jazz. And for some reason, during this match, I had this overwhelming feeling that I'm just like, I'm over it. I don't know why. I'm over it. It was a funny bit at first, but he's just kind of continued the same shtick for the last few years. And I don't know. It's just kind of, to me, it's getting a bit old. I wish he would kind of mix things up a little bit. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Let me know if any of you guys are feeling the same way. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you disagree with me, feel free to say that. Just, be respectful. Don't be a dickhead. Just be respectful. But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't working for me anymore. And we go through the round, and Samm wins with a perfect game. Like I said, he did have to go to multiple choice once, but he did not miss a single question, not even the steal that he had. Perfect game, 31-26. And now Samm has himself a title shot. That's right. He came back after 4 years and ran through this match. I mean, what else can you say? Other than the one multiple choice, you can't get any better than that. And so I think it's going to be an interesting match, which I'll talk a bit about at the end of this episode. We'll kind of talk a bit about next week's episode and the matches, the pay-per-view, and the matches that are going to happen during that. And I'm glad to see that during the post interview, Jen kind of back to her snarky self. You know, after what we saw last week with Roxy and her being so timid, and I was like, what was happening here? This is uncharacteristic for Jen Sturger. But she's back to that, giving Gucci that patented snark. I thought it was fantastic, especially like I said after that soft sell from last week. Then we got one final scene. Shannon and Marisol are talking, and Marisol wants to talk to Shannon about Adam Collins. And then Adam comes in, and Shannon, she's trying to be, it was all, they were all games. It was charade. It was always going to be you. Of course we want you back on corruption. However, Adam had to look out for him. I love Shannon, both the person and the character, but she brought it on herself. Toying with him that way, trying to make him feel bad for losing, for not doing as well as he's done before. It's not great. I don't know. She did this thing I think it was last week, where she talked about, or it might have been the week before, whatever it was. She talked about Ethan. And she was talking to him and saying, I've got, the champ on my team, and I can guarantee that you'll, get a shot, and I can get you that belt back. Showing that, like, in other words, she would actively work to take the belt away from Marisol. They kind of brush past that. But I'm like, this is a thing that she's doing, she's not staying as loyal as she thinks she is. And it backfired here. She's lucky it didn't backfire with Marisol. She's lucky that Marisol didn't take off. But she didn't. But Adam did. And he winds up signing with Swag. That's right. Winston Marshall. Winston comes out, and I thought there was going to be like a fight. Because like the last 2 years with all the faction stuff, Shannon and Marshall and Winston have gone at it. Between corruption and Swag, they've kind of gone at one another. And then finding out that Adam was going to Swag, I was like, oh no. She's going to like explode here. But she didn't, She played it more emotional and was like really upset about it, crying. It was a beautiful scene. It really was. It was probably the best scene that we've had all season so far. Granted, it's still early, but I thought that Wildberries and Claudia Dolph video Drew scene, that was my favorite. And that was, from the first show. And the scenes that have come since then, I thought have been good. But this scene, I think, blew all of those out of the water. It was incredible to see just the pure emotion from everybody in that room. The way it was played, nothing was played as a joke, or nothing was kind of made campy or anything like that. It was heart, and I really, really liked how it all turned out. I don't know if we're going to see some sort of face turn with Shannon and corruption. I don't know. Because Mike kind of flip-flops, here and there. Marisol's never really been a heel. She's just there. She wrecks shop when she needs to. But she never, like, goes after people. That's what Shannon was always there for. She just let Shannon do it for her. But she's never really been, to me, a heel. She just happened to be on a heel faction. And so I could see corruption starting to maybe swing toward the other side. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens throughout all of this. I'm really fascinated. But I did get a comment here going back to that Jungle Book question that I was talking about before. This is from Alicia. Hey, Alicia, how's it going? It says, I agree that the Jungle Book question was too easy. I felt like the 101 Dalmatians question was really easy for round 2 as well. Yeah, I think I would agree with you on that. Yeah, they were both pretty easy. But that Jungle Book one, man, way too much information. Way too much information. I don't know what they were thinking in that one, but I don't know. But that was the episode of Friday Night Titans. Now Samm Levine will be facing Marisol this coming week for the title. Here is the official poster. Special pay-per-view event on the 25th at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. We've got Marisol McKee taking on Samm Levine for the singles title. And we've got William the Beast Bibiani taking on the Cobra Chance Ellison. That's going to be a damn good match as well. We got 2 members of Corruption here taking over. Who will win? I mean, I got to say, I'm rooting for Bibiani in that undercard match. He is one of the best players in the league, I think, right now. I like Chance. I think Chance is good. He's damn good. And sometimes Bibbs can be a little hit or miss. But I think he's got this. I think he'll be able. I think it'll be a good match. I think it'll be close. I don't think it's going to be like a wipeout. I don't think there's not going to be like a KO or even a TKO. I doubt. I feel like it'll probably come down to the last question. But I have a feeling it's going to be Bibbs. That's who I'm rooting for. That's who I actually think is going to take this one. Then we get the Samm and Marisol match. This one was a bit harder for me. And we've got... See, these 2 competitors on paper are very evenly matched. We've got Marisol, who's on a 7-win streak right now, has defended the title twice. We've got Samm, who is now on an 8-win streak, has also defended it twice. Samm, I think, is 10-4 in singles. Marisol's 8-1. She's only lost once, and that was in 2020 in her rookie year to, I believe, Paul Oyama. It was her second match, and I think that it could go either way. However, I talked about before these category-specific holes in Samm's knowledge. Now, if he hasn't been filling these like I think he should be, I think that's a thing that could spell a downfall for him here. Because do we really think he's going to go perfect a second match? That's rare. I don't know how many times Frankie numbers he's going to have to tell us. I have no idea what the actual number on that is. How many people have ever actually gone perfect 2 matches in a row? But it's unlikely, I'd say. And so he's going to have to really work for it. They're both really going to have to work for it. I think it's going to be an epic match. Plus, you have to also take into account this is a 5-round match, okay? Sure, Samm was able to blow through that 3-rounder. That's great for him. But the 5-rounders can really take a toll. If you miss the betting round question, that can swing you down 6 points. Depending on what the score, what the betting is on that one, and so that could really screw him over. That's just one question, you miss one question. If it's the wrong question, you're screwed. And then that speed round, hitting the buzzer. Is he going to be quick enough? It's been a long time now. I'm sure he's been practicing, but practicing and doing it in the match are 2 completely different things. Plus, I don't know if how. We saw it with the IG match, but how is he going to be with that? On stage with these buzzers, it's very different than in the comfort of your home or wherever practicing. Okay, so it makes me wonder is how well he's going to make it through that speed round. I don't know. We'll see. But I'm putting my money on Marisol. I want her to win this, become the second 8 in a row person, second person to go 8 in a row. Then I want her to defend and break that record of 9-0. The 9-win streak. That's what I want to see happen. I think it'll be fantastic if that's how it goes. And I think if she wins this match, I think there's no question that she's in the talk for one of the greatest, of all time. Really. I mean, she's lost one match in singles. I think her team stuff hasn't been as great, unfortunately for her, which is crazy to think because you had Adam Collins in 2020 go 7-0, win the title. You had Marisol in 2021 go 7-0 and win the title. And yet the two of them as a team haven't been, you would think, you look at that on paper and you're like, well, that's a championship team right there. But they were never able to really get it done, unfortunately. There was just always some roadblocks in the way. Like, they were never on the level of one another at the same time. And that's, I think, because like I said, Adam had that killer year, his rookie year, whereas Marisol played 2 matches and won one and lost one. Okay. But then the second year she did that. She went perfect. And then he had a rough singles year. So, they were never on that same page when it came to the gameplay skill in the season at the same time, unfortunately. So, but yeah. And so, like I said, I think it's going to be Marisol and Bibbs is who I'm banking on for the pay-per-view. But I'm really excited for it. Let's look at that poster one more time. Look at that. March 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Be sure, sign up for the Patreon. I'm gonna tell you this. Christian in his Q&A said that the buy rate for this one, I think, is $14.99. You can get a month of Patreon for $12. So if you're gonna buy the pay-per-view anyways, just sign up for a month of the Patreon. Even if you cancel it after, just sign up for the month. Enjoy it. Enjoy some past stuff that they've got in there. Just enjoy it for the month. And if you feel like you want to keep it, then keep it. But I think the Patreon is the way to go. It you get all these pay-per-views, you get extra stuff, Q&As, and all kinds of other goodies as well. So, I really recommend it. But yeah, that's everything that I've got for you today on episode number 64 of Talkin Schmoedown. I am your host, Josh the Merc Raynor. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at MovieBlogMerc. That's MovieBlogMerc, M-E-R-C, as you can see right down there at the bottom of the screen. If you are watching this on YouTube, you are on the Merc with Movie Blog YouTube channel. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, and click that little bell so you always get notified whenever I drop a brand new video. I got a lot of shows on here. I've got Last Call at McLaren's. That's my How I Met Your Mother podcast. I've got Battle of the Decades, 80s versus 90s. Me and my buddy Mike, we go through and we pick a category and we pick 2 movies. He picks one from the 80s. I pick one from the 90s. We battle it out. We just recorded our second episode. Our first one is up right now. It's E.T. versus Jurassic Park. We did Spielberg films. So go and check that out. We'll be bringing back Oh, What a Marvel for Moon Knight. That's coming. That'll be coming up in about a week and some change, I think. And we've also got our Mandalorian verse show. So it's called Hey Mando. We talk about the Mandalorian. We covered Book of Boba Fett. We'll be covering Ahsoka and anything else that spins out specifically out of that Mando verse as well. And obviously Talkin Schmoedown here. I do trailer reactions. I'm going to be doing some other stuff soon. So keep an eye out for that. And you can keep an eye out for that just by clicking that little bell and subscribing, like I said before. And if you are listening on audio, if you're on anchor.fm/movieblogmerc, you can leave me a voice message. I always appreciate that. If it's pertaining to the Schmoedown, to the Talkin Schmoedown, I'll play it on air. We'll address it here. And if you are on Apple or Spotify, you can leave me a 5-star review, and I will read that out on air as well. But yeah, that's all I got for you. Again, follow me on Twitter at @movieblogmerc. Thanks for joining me, guys. We have been talking Schmoedown. Catch you guys next time.